Message.
Okay, let's see. So, hello everybody. First order of business, I do believe the radio is working now. I have to thank everybody that's shown any interest or provided suggestions for this problem. I really appreciate the feedback, and it was very, very helpful. You're probably wondering what actually fixed it, and so am I. Because I tried, I was going from the simple stuff towards the hard stuff. And I decided, the first thing I tried was that I tried the headset jacks. The problem with those being, when I originally built the airplane, the directions in the manual were to isolate the microphone jacks and don't bother with the headset jacks. And actually, I don't know when the revision page came out, but it was after I was done in flying, and I don't go back and rebuild the airplane every time they make a revision page. So what they want now is all four of them. They're very specific. Isolate all four of the headset and the microphone. So isolate them all. And the headset jacks are down here on the floorboards. You can get at them. It's actually we're kind of lucky. They're easy to get at. You just pull the wing out a little bit, and you can reach in there and get them. So I was doing an inspection in there to make sure the wiring was all where it needed to be and hadn't done anything crazy in there. That's also where the little 1/8 inch, there's a little optional 1/8 inch jack. This is how I'm feeding you guys audio. If I'm feeding you audio. Presumably I am. I should probably check that. Anyway, that's how I get the audio for you guys. And it's kind of right there in front. I was fiddling around with the headset jack on the right hand side, and there's two little wires that go into the tiny little 1/8 inch jack, and because it's an option, Vans doesn't provide the part. You source that yourself, and I just got them. I got one at Radio Shack, tiny little thing, and those are very fragile. They're intended to be inside of something, and to some degree they are, but I do get in there now and again, and I think I must have bumped one of the wires and I broke the terminal right off of the thing. And the reason for that ended up being, they want you, Vans, when they provide the details, they want you to put a 47,000 ohm resistor on each of the tabs. And I had taken the solid wire of the resistor and soldered that directly onto the tab of the headset jack. And that gave it no strain relief at all, so the least little bump, I think, is probably what broke it off of there. So I added little 1-inch flexible wires, then the resistors when I put the new one in. And this is a miracle that I even had one. I was thought I was going to have to order one. I actually had one order from on Amazon, but it was going to be 3 weeks before it got here. And for some reason, I was way back in the deep, dark, messiest part of my hangar, and there was the second one. I guess it came in a bag of two. I still had the thing. So that should be working better. The other thing I did is I wanted to reseat the radio. I've had problems with this radio before. This is not endemic to Garmin or Apollo or RV12s or anything. Even when I was working on the SR-71, when I was working on F4s, the first thing we tried was just pull out the connector, put it back in, and because sometimes that would fix it. So the way you remove one of these radios, if you've never done it, is you take an Allen wrench, and there's a little hole right there, and you turn it, and what you're doing is turning a threaded rod, and then it has a little tab that moves along that rod, and when it gets to the end, it lifts out, and you can slide this out. Well, something happened internally to where the threaded rod was spinning, nothing was happening, and I could not get it out of there. I had it as loose as it would go, and I couldn't get it out. So I had to pull off the Avionics cover out there, which is held on with 685 screws, or that's our approximation. There's just a lot of them. And thought, well, I'll just get the radio out of the tray from there. I couldn't. Well, I'm going to take out the whole radio tray. Well, you can't do that either. You can't take out the radio tray if the radio is in it. So I was really stuck. So I went and got a thin piece of metal and kind of ran it across here where I know that tab to be, trying to kind of coerce it out of position. And then I heard kind of a tinkle, tinkle, clunk as it fell down into all of these electronics here. And there's, some amps going through here. It's 30 amps right there. So there's electricity going through there, and I didn't need a little piece of metal in there. So I was going to have to take this thing out. So I took out these screws, which hold it in, but I'm kind of pushing at it, and it just wouldn't come out. And then I heard tink, and that was the little part falling down underneath it. So that just became a matter of trying to fish it out of there and screwing all this back in there. But since I had the Avionics cover off, which I try to avoid because it's kind of a pain, I went ahead and disconnected the plug for this one. But actually, the first thing, I was kind of suspicious of the intercom. I've never liked this Flightcom 403. I never liked it in my RV6. I just think it's a piece of crap. But I unplugged that and turned on the radio, nothing happened. So you have to have the intercom for the radio to work. That's the way I read that math. The stick is moving around because it's gusty. It's 20, gusty 30 or something. We're not flying. We're just fooling around in the airplane right now. We're not flying today. Plug that back in. Unplug the connector for this, which is in that big junction box up in the forward left there. Plug that all back in, and now everything works. So, and it's working very, very well. I don't know if I'll find out later when I get home whether you still have that hum in the YouTubes or not. It seems to be working. And another thing happened kind of along the same time. I was YouTube Studio is a new way of managing your videos on YouTube, and I think it just came out, or I just found it for the iPad, so I downloaded that, and it has a pretty neat feature. It will show every single comment that I've ever received on any of my videos. And for you guys that asked me questions 8 months ago and I never answered, it's because once I post a video, I stopped checking the comments after 2 or 3 days. So I'm sorry, I never even saw those questions. So last night I went through and answered a bunch of them. A couple of them were more recent. A couple of people really like the camera up high like this, so I guess I'll keep that. The other thing I thought is somebody had said, you know, it's nice that you talk about the dynon, but we really can't see what you're doing. It's too far away and we can't see what's going on. So I have this little camera that I've never done much with, and I don't know if this suction cup will hold it forever. I don't know how good how legible the buttons and things will be, but I'm going to give this a try. And here I can turn it on again, make sure it's still running. Yeah, I think I'm recording. So you should be able to see me. As I say, this is the Autopilot button. I don't know if you can read that. This one says Tools, this one says Engine, but it seemed like it would be helpful if this works. You know, I'll keep it. I'm not going to have it there for every flight, but some flights I actually go out and I talk about how to do things with the Skyview. So those, I'll probably carry this when I do that, if this turns out at all well. And, you know, give me some feedback on that stuff. I need to hear it. I'm wide open to suggestions. Anything I can do. Oh, also, people that click the down thumb on the YouTube video, don't just click the thumb and run away with your tail between your legs. Tell me what you think needs changed. I will accept all kinds of constructive criticism unless it's go out and buy a $6,000 camera or things of that nature. So don't just come in and drop your little turd and walk away. I'm curious, what's wrong? Do you not like the subject matter? Well, then don't come back. I mean, you tripped over something you didn't care for. That's not my fault. If it's something I can control, I'd like to know. In any event, here we go. So basically, I'm just going to taxi around a little bit, and I'm just kind of play with some of the buttons, and I want to see how legible all this is. And that's it. So that's it for today. If you're bored already, go ahead and cut loose. Drop it down thumb, and let me know this was boring. All right, I'm in a bit of a mood. So I'm just going to taxi around here a little bit, and I'm letting the engine get up to temperature just because. It's going to be a while before I can fly again. We got some winter weather coming in. It's supposed to snow. Well, forecasts being what they are, they're forecasting for some snow and temperatures down in the 20s for early next week, which is a pretty bitter disappointment, to be honest. I've been yesterday I was out in my backyard. I have the little seat that I take to Oshkosh. I sat out in the backyard with the dog sitting in the sun. Airplanes were flying. They won't be flying today, but they were flying yesterday. And the spring is just I really don't want to get back to the snow. I don't want to get back to the cold, but it is what it is. So I'll get working on the book. I've got 47,000 words written. Well, I have thousands and thousands and thousands of words written, tens of thousands of words written. What I'm doing is I'm taking them from the blog where I wrote them originally and making them more. Back then I was pretty lazy with grammar, spelling, and all kinds of stuff. I was pretty lazy. So I'm cleaning it up, making it a little more cohesive because it was kind of cut, you know, just different things all the time, trying to get them into reasonably coherent chapters. Now this is the RV6. I'm starting with the RV6, and then depending on how that does, or just because I feel like it, the material's already written, I'll probably do one for the RV12. The RV6 book is tentatively named the Papa Golf Chronicles because that was the name of the blog, and of course the RV12 will be Schmetterling Aviation. So look for those on Amazon sometime in the next 17, 18 years because I'm not super disciplined about writing. Although now I can't go outside, I'm doing a lot more of it. Also, I did see a rumor, I hope this is just a rumor, but what they're saying within a couple days, Canada and the United States are going to completely shut down the airspace, and that will include me, even though their target is airliners and people that transport people state to state. they're going to shut it all down. If honestly, if the carrier jets aren't flying, there's no reason for air traffic control to be there. Well, some of them, they will have to have some kind of skeleton staff because there'll be emergency flights, there'll be military flights, there'll be cargo flights, so they're going to have to be there. I just don't see Bolton staying open, and I fully understand it. I don't feel like I'm a risk, but that's not the point. They're not they're not making laws and rules just to control me. I have a wife for that. So it is what it is. So if you don't hear from me for a while, this may be it. Hope everybody's doing well. And again, I really thank you for coming to the channel and not just being passive, but actually interacting. I really enjoy it. The comments just make my day. I absolutely love it. So more of that, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Positive feedback is always welcome. Negative feedback, if it makes you feel better, I guess that's okay. It doesn't really hurt me that much. It did at first. The first thumbs down I ever got, I was, oh, what? But you know, people are different. They all have their different tastes, so it is what it is. So this is a very short one. It may be the last one for a while. I don't know how much longer this thing is going to go on. Nobody seems to know that. But what can you do? You do what you can do. And so that's pretty much it. You know, let me know if you like this in the comments. I don't know how much, again, how much detail you can see, but you know, if we go into, say, like edit user waypoints, I mean, whether you can read these or not. The other, oh, there it is again. Epstein didn't kill himself. I really want to delete those out of there because everybody knows that now. The other thing you'll be missing is I have the autopilot buttons up here. You won't be able to see me working those. You can get a picture of these off of the Dynon website if you're interested, or take notes. Autopilot on and off, flight director on, off, heading hold, track hold, altitude hold, vertical speed hold, indicated airspeed hold. Source is whether I'm flying from the Skyview or Navcom, but since I have no Navcom, it's always going to be Skyview. The Skyview GPS, to be fair. VNav is that thing I use to do the kind of fake ILS, and I'm going to do another of those here in a few, whenever I can fly again, because I've already forgotten how. It's been a long time. And then up down, and what up down does is I hit altitude. That automatically means just where I am, and then I can dial up. I can use this knob to dial up the altitude I want to go to. It won't do it until I say go up. Now once it's going up, I'm pretty sure, I'm really not 100% sure of this, but I think this would add 100 foot per minute up, this would subtract 100 foot per minute up, and then of course down is the inverse. And then level is the passenger emergency button. I'm flying along, something happens, just push the level button and it's going to put the airplane on a set heading, just whatever heading it is, and it's going to level the wings and it's just going to keep it there, and then get on the radio and cry for help. When I have a passenger with me, or actually whenever I fly, I'm almost always on a frequency where somebody's going to hear. I'm basically almost always on Bolton Tower or Unicom somewhere. So that's how that all works. So if you are interested when I start doing these mini tutorials, I hate to call them that because it's just really me practicing but recording. But when I start doing those again, this may come in handy. So, you know, let me know what you think about that too. And that's about it for today, and I thank you very much for stopping by, and looking very much forward to flying again once this mess is all over.